I'll give you one example because I can't give you all examples. Time is limited. Syria. When Muslims came to take the city of Damascus, we are told by Dionysius, a Greek historian, and by a Muslim historian called Qadi Abu Yusuf, the student of Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayh. They both tell us that when Muslims came to Damascus, the first time the people of Damascus saw them, they thought these barbarians have come to eat us. They're going to kill us, they're going to savage us, right? They fought. But when Muslims had overtaken the city of Damascus, the people of Damascus realized, hold on, these people do look like barbarians, but they're actually not barbarians because they came from the desert. They were not as civilized as the Byzantines, right? So once they took over, what happened? Their government was established. Then Heraclius, the Roman emperor, he mustered an army. He wanted to take the land back, the land of Syria back. What happened now? This is very interesting. The people of the land of Syria, they supported the Muslims, Christians. Byzantine Christians supported the Muslims against not Byzantine Christians, the Orthodox Syrian Christians supported the Muslims against the Byzantine Christians who were coming with Heraclius. It doesn't stop there. Same thing happened in Egypt. When Muslims took Egypt, the Coptic Christians, they backed the Muslims against the Byzantines. Why? So tell me, now give me an example, if Israel has taken the land by force. We can't, it's a reality. Israelis are there. Wait, are the Palestinians saying today, Israelis, please stay, please protect us against our Muslim brothers? So it's a valid comparison, right?
Respond to those points. So
what are the Israelis doing to the Palestinians? That's the question.
I'll let you speak, but please allow me to respond. So in some instances, you're right. Islam was accepted by the people. In other instances, the people spat Islam out. So an example would be Spain, Iberia, the Iberian Peninsula, all the way up to Vienna. Muslims were Islam was rejected.
No. Islam was accepted in drives. People, Christians. How do I know this? 850s. Paul Alvarez, a Spanish historian, complaining about Christians coming to Islam. He writes, Paul Alvarez. Go and check it out. Google Paul Alvarez, Alvarus. Paul Alvarez. He writes that our youngsters, Christian youngsters, are reading Muslim philosophy, Muslim poetry. They can utter better poetry than the Arabs themselves. They have abandoned the Latin commentaries on the scripture and they are becoming Muslims in droves, right? So Muslims, Spanish native Christians were coming in drives.
Adnan, you have to let me speak. I respectfully listen.
So you
to
made a point, I was
said.
correcting it.
No, but I didn't correct your point. So as much you said that I disagree with, so you at least allow me to finish what I'm saying, as I did with you. So, irrespective of what you say, there was huge wars in Europe between Christians and Muslims. Rejection at the gates of Vienna, the rejection of Al-Andalus.
You're now jumping from Al-Andalus to 1531.
But Adnan, let me please make a point.
You're jumping centuries, not only centuries, millenniums.
And that's fine, fine.
Yeah.
I'm at liberty to do that.
Yeah. Wars did happen, no problem. Yeah, you're right. Muslim empires did fight wars.
Not Europe's the wrong word because you have nations like Albania. But Iberia is no longer Muslim.
Yes, it's not.
And that's because there were wars fought between the indigenous
because Catholics
Christians.
Systematically wiped out the Jews and the Muslims. Do you know about the Jews?
Yes, absolutely.
The Jews were
Adnan, please let me speak. Please let me speak. And so I think it's a separate conversation.
It is
so
indeed.
I think if we bring it back to Israel.
Yeah.
So one of the things I struggle with when I talk to not just you, to many Muslims, and not just many Muslims, many people who are pro-Palestinian, they will say that they support a two-state solution. They will say that they support an Israel alongside a Palestine, yeah? But then they will talk about Tel Aviv as being occupied. Now I want to make my point now. For a Jew, Jews lived like Muslims throughout the Ottoman Caliphate. We lived throughout most Khilafah, yeah? And many of them, we've had conversations in the past, that many of them, the Jews were treated very well, and in others they weren't treated so great.
It's not a fair comparison, but anyway.
The difference with this conversation is, you're saying that for you, Israel, it's not just that it's Arab, it's that it's Muslim. Because you would reject, if it were the Christians that established a kingdom or a
Crusaders.
Exactly.
The Muslims did the same thing.
You would reject their claim to the land. So what you're basically saying
Crusaders,
is,
yes.
can I just?
Yeah.
The Ottoman, it wasn't the Ottomans that first took it, but the Ottoman Empire and the previous Khulafa, they defined what was Muslim land. Yeah? And then the other minorities that lived within those lands, they have no right to self-determination unless they are under Islam as a dhimmi. And I'm not going to get into an argument about what it was like to be a dhimmi in a Muslim state. It's a separate conversation. What I'm saying is Jews have a right to a land there. Arabs have a right to a land there. Muslims have a right to a land there. I'm not saying the Sheikh's people in Jordan don't have a right to Jordan, even though the rulers of Jordan are from Arabia.
You're making a fair point. What you're saying is that Israel has power over the land now. Israel has occupied the land, however it has done it.
Not even occupied. Not even occupied. There were two people that are indigenous to the land, I would say. I would say if Arabs have been living there pre the Arab conquest and certainly from the Arab conquest, they've been living there long enough to have a claim on indigeneity. So if you've got two people that claim ancestry, so I've got friends from Gaza, Jewish friends, who lived there for
The Palestinians,
years.
yeah. Before you ask, the Palestinians are more indigenous to the land than the white Israelis are.
Then why is Al-Bosnak a common surname there? Why is Al-Nasri a common surname? Why isn't it Al-Kazam from Lebanon?
Is every Jew in the world has a right to have an Israeli nationality?
So it's a really good question. So and I'll give you let me answer, but I'll give you the answer.
Just brief.
Yes.
So if someone that didn't care about Israel at all in his life, a Jew, just because he's a Jew, even though he's atheist, whatever it is, he is entitled to have a citizenship in Israel. He's entitled to have and go and live there peacefully.
Yeah.
Where a Muslim is not entitled to do that, and you say this is not apartheid. And you are saying this is not apartheid.
Can I answer, Sheikh?
Are you saying this is not apartheid?
That's not apartheid, and I'll give an explanation of why. So Sheikh,
Yeah.
so anyone who
Go
supports a two-state solution, and it's a pretty grim reality that we're in, but if you accept a two-state solution, you basically agree to two states that sit parallel to each other, that are divided along ethnic lines, yeah? So an Arab majority state and a Jewish majority state. That's what all the Europeans who argue for a two-state solution, any of the liberals within the PA, the Palestinian Authority, that advocate for a two-state solution, they do so along ethnic lines. Now, if the Palestinian state was established, the Palestinians would have the right and should have the right to offer the right to return to all of the Palestinians that are in the Palestinian diaspora. So whether you're a Palestinian living in Kuwait or a Palestinian living in London, in a Palestinian state you would have...
That's a fair point. I'll tell you why it's a fair point. Because not all the Muslims can live in Israel.
I know, and not all the Jews can live in Israel, the same thing.
No. Jews are very few in numbers. I mean, they can all live in Israel, no doubt. The Jews are very few, 30 million Jewish people in the world. I don't know, they might have gone up to 40 now. Okay, yeah, Muslims are 6 billion. Sorry, not 6 billion, 2 billion. 2 billion. Okay, so we can't possibly...
Still in time though.
So the point, coming back to the issue is not the Jewish people. The issue is not the Muslim people. The issue is occupation. And we as Muslims have a consistent approach. Historically, when the Crusaders came in, when they took the land by force, slaughtered the population and brutalized the rest, the Muslims resisted. Right?
That's what the Muslims did when they took it off the Byzantines.
No, they didn't slaughter the population.
They didn't slaughter, but they took the land by force. There was big wars.
They took it by force because they were supported by the natives. They were supported.
Some.
Yes. Imagine. Of course, the natives, Syrians, because this was Bilad al-Sham. Bilad al-Sham was Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, and Palestine. This was Bilad al-Sham. The people of Bilad al-Sham were Orthodox Christians. They were not Chalcedonian, Byzantine Christians. They supported the Muslims. Likewise, Egyptians supported the Muslims. When Muslims went to Spain, the Jews supported the Muslims. Jews.
Adnan, with the greatest respect, when the 48 war broke out, there were Arabs that supported the Zionists. So you go to Arabs who support the Zionists. There's a village near Jerusalem called Abu Ghosh, which is seen as a beacon of peace, where it's famous for its hummus, and they supported the Zionists. There were Bedouin that fought with the Zionists. I mean, the history isn't as black as white. Black and white is it's often portrayed. So I just wanted the critical thing here. The critical thing here is
there are some Jew who used to be in Nazis' army. Some Jew used to be senior. It doesn't make them nice people.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah, they were.
You know this.
That's a very good.
Again, we're jumping around
comparison.
Quite a lot.
Don't give this bad example.
No. But yeah, that's what Adnan's
give
doing with Muslim
representative,
history.
give a representative example.
I think
something that represents our history.
So I just think that there's a fundamental point here that we're dancing around.
Yeah,
like
which is
occupation.
Yes.
We keep using this language.
Yeah, occupation. Yeah.
And so
a brutal occupation.
No.
Yeah.
So in 1948, Israel didn't invade its neighbours. No. 8 Arab armies invaded Israel.
Okay, that's a good question. In 1948, the British mandate had been implemented. 1917, Balfour Declaration, because of Lord Rothschild, who had some very strong influence on the establishment at the time. Because of it's there. It's clear. It's not even hidden anymore. It's not even conspiracy theory anymore. There are interviews of James Rothschild. Jacob Rothschild, who was recently interviewed. You've seen the interview?
Yeah.
When he said, "My grandfather proudly he created the state of Israel," and then he has the declaration there as well in glass in his palace. So the point is, Rishi, how the land was occupied against the wishes of the people. The British had no authority to give that land to the Zionists.
The British didn't give the land. The British abstained from the.
What is the British mandate?
So you're confusing your history. No. Don't shout no my ear. I'm really respectful.
Let him disagree. Yes.
No, so you're conflating the British, the Balfour Declaration, the British Mandate, and the Declaration of Independence, or the UN partition, followed by the Declaration of Independence. So 1917, one of the Rothschild branches of the Rothschilds were a fragmented family. Some were for the Jewish state, some were against it.
No, the important ones, the bankers.
They were all bankers.
They're the ones
they were all bankers.
Yeah.
There were famous bankers who just wanted to assimilate, didn't want a Jewish state, and thought the safest thing for the Jews would be if they just basically
It was
became
James
Christians.
Rothschild, right?
Jacob.
No, Jacob was the grandfather. Who is alive now? What's his name? The one who's alive now, who was interviewed?
Evelyn de Rothschild.
No. This is a recent interview of one of the Rothschild. I don't know if his name is James or recent, the one who's alive now.
Evelyn de Rothschild.
Yeah. He was interviewed and he clearly. But the one you're talking about, the one who was alive at the time of the Balfour Declaration. So let me see.
I think it's Adnan.
Yeah, that's okay.
But all I'm trying to say, Adnan, is you're conflating different points in history. So, which I may occasionally do with Muslim history because it's not my speciality. This is my area. So 1917 was the British Mandate. The Balfour Declaration. The Balfour Declaration was the British government saying they supported the establishment of a Jewish national home.
Why?
In that region. Can I just make in that region? You fast forward to the British Mandate of Palestine. The mandate was given to the British on the condition they fulfil the Balfour Declaration. Where there was previously Ottoman controlled land, with the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, there was a belief that the indigenous peoples of those lands should ultimately be given sovereignty, and the mandates were temporarily awarded.
Who gave the right to the British?
Can I just finish my point, Adnan? To facilitate the establishment of the indigenous peoples within those lands.
Okay, I have a question.
Let me just get to the history, and then you can ask your question. Previously, when empires went to war, they would conquer the land and declare it their territory. So Britain would conquer Scotland, and Scotland would become part of Britain. Islam different caliphates would expand their borders, and those lands would become part of the caliphate. With Israel, it was slightly. With the British Empire, it was different. What the British did at that point, and it wasn't just the British; it was the French as well. They took temporary stewardship of the land on the condition. This was at 1920.
So when was the declaration made? Very important point.
1917, the Balfour Declaration.
By 1917, the British still don't have the land.
Adnan,
and they're giving it to the Jews, to the Zionists.
Adnan, can I please?
Before that, there is an apple tree. Wait, there's an apple tree.
Please let me
there are
finish
apples
my
on
point,
it,
sir.
and I tell you, and the tree doesn't belong to me. The tree is in a field. I say, you know what? I'll give you those apples.
I'll let you speak. Please let me at least put my argument across.
Yes,
And so, they were awarded a temporary mandate on the condition they create a national home for the Jewish people there. That region at that time was Transjordan, Israel, the West Bank and Gaza. That was the British Mandate of Palestine.
Yes.
1 year after being awarded the land which was supposed to become a Jewish homeland, the first thing the British did was give the 75 or 78% of the land to an Arabian family, the Hashimites, who aren't indigenous to Jordan. So the majority of the land didn't go to a Jewish state, it then went to a Jordanian state. And then came the part, there was various conflicts between the Arabs and the Jews in that region. And then in 1947, there was a vote that went to the United Nations, And in that vote, 33 states voted to recognize Israel. 13 states voted to reject Israel as a Jewish state or as a sovereign state. And Britain, along with I think it was Greece, abstained. They refused to vote.
Very
so
clever.
Britain didn't create Israel. The opposite is true. In fact, during the Holocaust, can I just then you go. During the Holocaust, from 1939, Britain blocked Jewish immigration in the 39 White Paper. They blocked Jewish immigration into the land, and Arab immigration swelled. It went through one of the largest population explosions the Arab world knew, as Arabs flocked there, attracted to the prosperity.
But the question still stands, Joseph.
And then I'll summarize. And then Britain didn't create Israel. Israel was given or recognized by the international community.
No.
The international community recognized.
When will you tell the history as it is?
I believe I just have Adnan. Unlike
No.
you, who
Let me tell you
got
the
your
history
a
then.
little bit confused.
1917, Britain has still not yet occupied Palestine. When did Allenby walk in? When did Allenby walk into Jerusalem? What year was it? Do you know?
Well, it wasn't Palestine. I've just been told it was.
No, Jerusalem.
Sorry, what was your question?
Jerusalem. When did Allenby walk into Jerusalem?
17 was it?
No, I'd assume it was 18 or 19, but I don't know.
1924. If I don't,
1924?
yeah, when check Allenby, Jerusalem, 1918 or 1924. It was after the Balfour Declaration. The British had no right to give that land that belonged to the Palestinians to the Zionists. They had no right to do that. They had no occupation of it. They had no ownership of it, and they gave it. So when did Allenby enter Jerusalem?
1917. Out of Jerusalem, 1917.
1917.
Yeah, not 24.
Okay, must be.
Ottoman, Jordan was created
That's
in 21.
So Allenby actually entered. No. When did Allenby enter into Jerusalem? That's the point.
So every country doesn't have
Yeah,
country.
1917.
Sorry? It's just the land.
No, it doesn't. Wait.
Look, there you go. Edmund Allenby, commander and
In the
leader.
Bible called Palestine.
It doesn't, it's an inconsequential point of the argument. So
Yeah. So the British had already agreed with the Zionist establishment that the land of Palestine will be given to them. You gave an example of the Hashemite family. You see, the Hashemite family was given the kingship of Iraq and Jordan, not the land. You understand? You have to understand. The Hashemites were not moved from Mecca and put in Jordan Wadi Rum and told the Bedouins to get lost. No. None of the land of the Jordanian people was taken away from them. Right? Likewise in Iraq, the land was not occupied from the Iraqi people. In this case, the land was given to the Zionists. The land that didn't belong to the Zionists.
Jordan didn't exist pre-19.
I agree. We agree. Yeah, we didn't. Yes. What's your problem?
So this is
The land was not.
Adnan, any Jew that was living in British Mandate of Palestine, yeah,
Yes.
they would have considered themselves. They would have supported Israel. The early Arabs, back in 1917, all the way through to pretty much 48, Palestine was seen as a word that the Zionists used. Yeah? So Palestine was seen as a Zionist word. The Palestinians adopted the identity.
Who said it was said?
On Abdallah.
Yeah, 1917.
In 1916, when the Arab Revolution against the Ottomans, against the oppression of the Ottomans, to remove the Ottomans, not to bring back Zionists. You understand?
Yeah.
So they were demanding the Arabs who came from Palestine and from Jordan, from Syria nowadays, from all these areas, and they supported the Arab Revolution against the Ottomans because of the oppression of the Ottomans, not to bring another apartheid state. You understand? So they were fighting the Ottomans to have their land back from the Ottomans, to remove the oppression from the Ottomans. So as soon as they have done this, they were misled by the British, and then later on, because the British they have the upper hand now. They didn't use now they don't need the Bedouin anymore, and they have the weapon and all of these things. They just occupy the land, and
occupied the land.
British,
okay.
yeah, and after that, and then they divide the things the way that they think, and then they give it.
No.
Which is already.
They were terrorized into it. The British were actually terrorized into it. There were Zionist terrorists who were blowing up British establishment, places. Who? You know Haganah, right? You know, Haganah, what was Haganah?
The Haganah was
What was it?
it was the Jewish defense forces.
It was a
the
terrorist
Jewish
organization
defense
that,
Jewish defense force.
The Haganah wasn't. The Stern gang.
You missed-
The
yeah.
Lehi was.
okay, so who was,
You're
Haganah.
confusing
who was the first prime minister?
Sorry, David Ben Gurion.
Okay, Ben Gurion was a member of,
Of
a member of,
Haganah.
okay.
Not the
He wasn't a terrorist.
Okay, Haganah never did
No,
bombing.
he condemned.
Haganah never did bombing.
never
He
did.
condemned Lehi. He condemned
Correct.
Irgun.
Okay, let me check.
There was
The
division
only
within
people
the
that
Jewish
the Haganah bombed were themselves. They bombed the Irgun on the
Haganah
on
did
the
bomb.
Tala.
on the Sea of Tel Aviv.
Did they
Absolutely.
bomb?
It was the Irgun. The Irgun bombed the the King David Hotel. That's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it was the Irgun. It
Not
wasn't
not
the
Ben
Haganah.
Gurion. Ben Gurion condemned.
Ben Gurion condemned it.
King David Hotel bombing. Who did it?
We just told you it's not the Haganah.
It was the Stern gang, the Irgun.
Okay, let's see. King David Hotel bombing was a terrorist attack carried out on Monday, the 22nd of July 1946 by the militant right-wing Zionist underground organization, the Irgun, on the British administrative headquarters for Palestine,
weren't part of
which
the
was
Haganah.
housed in the southern wing. Okay, so what was Haganah?
Haganah was the name of the political movement, which then became the Haganah Israel, the first army, the first fighting force. But they were against Menachem Begin, against other guys called Isaac Stern, who was the leader of the Stern gang, who were the terrorists.
So it became the core of Israeli defense force, right?
Correct.
Right. So they never conducted
Never
bombings.
did, never did,
Okay.
not once.
So Ben Gurion was not involved in
No,
any of these
no.
bombings.
No,
He
you're
was
confusing
against
him with Menachem Begin.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
confusing him with
Okay.
Ben
I'll
Gurion.
go and check on this. I'll go and check on this because
Okay,
what
but
I've been.
to come back to the key
yeah,
point, which
yeah.
is really, really crucial here.
Okay.
Any Jew that was living in this region, and I've got friends who have family who've lived there for thousands of years,
Right.
yeah?
So you don't think the British were intimidated into?
Can I just make my point? Any Jew that was living there, they used the word Palestine. So we have, if you go to Golders Green and go to a Jewish shop, you probably wouldn't, but maybe a non-Muslim would. You can buy a wine called Palwin. Do you know what Palwin stands for? Palestine Wine Company. The Palestine Electric Company was Jewish. If you look at the Palestinian football team of that period, they were all Jewish.
Right.
Palestinian at that point was a Jewish identity and not an Arab identity. Palestinian nationalism really took off in the 60s. And while Hashim al-Husseini wanted a national movement for the Arabs that were living there, the Palestinian aspect of it came much, much later.
Okay.
And so what I'm saying is, when people say that the people that were living there, they were occupied, they weren't occupied. There were Jews living there, and the Jews supported Israel.
You mean all of them, there used to be Jews there?
Not everyone used to be. No, not everyone used to be Jews. The majority population was Arab.
Listen, I respect you. And I respect sometimes you always go to the truth, yeah. But at the same time, this is something which is you're just saying. Saying to the audience that there used to be Jews all over the place.
That did.
There used to be. No, it wasn't the case.
The majority,
It
they
was
are
not the case.
No, the majority were
were
Arabs.
Arabs.
The majority were Arabs.
And
I
then
agree.
how am
I
I
appreciate.
not?
I agree.
So how
That's
am
what
I
I'm
not? This think about it.
Wait. Zionist political violence refers to acts of violence or terror committed by Zionists. Actions have been carried out by individuals and Jewish parliamentary groups such as the Irgun, as mentioned earlier, the Lehi, the Haganah, and the Palmak, as part of a conflict between Jews, British authorities and Palestinian Arabs regarding land, immigration and control over Palestine. So according to what I found there, right?
This is just Wikipedia.
Okay, main occurrences. We can read on it.
You read on, and
Yeah.
we'll go out and
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
find the example of the Haganah. My point wasn't that the Jews were the majority. That's not what I'm saying.
So
Jews were
if they're-
as an
if they were
example,
the minority-
Sheikh,
they were the
can I
minority-
just finish my point? In Jerusalem, as an example, in Jerusalem, as an example, in 1850, the majority of the population
Haganah
of
did
Jerusalem was
political
Jewish.
violence.
Who made this statistic?
So I can't remember the source, but
This is the problem here.
I get you.
Bringing-
It was a French study. I'll get you it now. I'll pull it up now.
Now the same. You'll find all of this. This is the problem here. If you find the Jews or say the Zionists, I don't like to use them because I believe they're Zionists rather than to be Jews. Because I have Jew friends and
You got a Zionist friend. I'm a Zionist friend.
Anyone who supports an evil, I don't respect someone who supports an evil.
Well, that's a
So
Sheikh,
when you are
the majority
with
of Jews are Zionists.
if you see me supporting ISIS, listen. If you see me supporting ISIS, Listen.
keep saying that, but it doesn't make you right.
If you see me supporting ISIS at any point, then I will be not your friend. The same thing. If I see you supporting a state of apartheid, a state that kills
let
people,
me give you a hard
terrorize people,
Adnan,
killing people,
Adnan, sorry,
killing. I will tell you something. And there is a Jordanian
judge.
For you to know. Jordan, not 3 years ago, a judge, he went there respectfully to go to visit Jerusalem, and he was shot by the Zionist police. Well, what did he do? He didn't do anything. And then the same thing, they were trying to make up things. Listen, I will tell you something. Yeah? You need to go and live with Palestinian families and see how they live. See how they are. See how pregnant women they deliver on the way because they block the way.
Listen. You nice diatribe, but two facts. First and foremost, 93% of British Jews see Israel as a part of their identity. 93% of British Jews. So you can sit there and say that you like the Jews, not the Zionists. 93% of Jews in the UK are Zionists.
That's not true. We had here a friend of us here.
That's fine.
He came here and he was against.
That's fine.
So what's the problem? Are you against him?
Are
you against them?
No, he's my brother. He's my brother.
So at the end of the day, those are the ones who support the Zionists. This is the problem. You need to
listen. The overwhelming majority of Jews, whether you like it or not, support Israel.
It's
survey. The Jewish Chronicle ran a survey. Second point, and then Adnan can read that. The second point is very, very simple. If you've been to the West Bank, which I'm sure you have, you haven't. Well, Adnan sounds like he has. If you've been to Ramallah, you've been to Rawabi, the affluence there is incredible. The picture you paint of a pregnant Palestinian woman losing her family isn't the reality in the West Bank. Gaza's different, and we can have a different conversation about Gaza. But the judge from Jordan would have been visiting the West Bank, and the West Bank. When I visit there,
and they are suffering there.
I see more Range Rovers in Ramallah than I do in Hampstead.
Oh, really?
I've made videos filming it.
So it doesn't make it nice, by the way.
I'm sorry.
What are you saying?
Huge villas.
Some people are killed.
No.
Huge villas.
Huge villas. Huge cars. Lots of money. Where's the oppression?
If there is someone who is having a good time, it doesn't mean everyone is happy.
Remember in the beginning when he says there is an Arab Muslims who put a president or minister to the prison. Is the Arab Muslim? Is he having an Israeli passport living in Israel?
Yes.
Why you don't say in Israeli? Why you say he's Arab?
No. We say Israeli Arab.
Wait, there are other things. There are other things. We have other problems. Wait, we have other problems. The issue is not only occupation.
Yeah.
Occupation is one of the biggest issues. How the land was acquired, what process was used, whether that process was legal, valid, whether Britain had the right to give the land to the Zionists, whether the Zionists had the right to occupy the land of the Palestinians. They had come from Europe and they occupied land they never knew in the first place. Wait.
Sorry.
All these things are good questions. But what is the state of Israel doing today? What examples do we get? Human rights activists being shot in the chest. Kids being shot in the head. Children are being shot dead in many cases, right?
Women
if ISIS was doing this, global media would be doing an outcry. The whole world would be crying about Muslim terrorism. Muslim, inverted commas, terrorism. Look at these barbarian Muslims killing children, shooting humanitarian aid workers in the chest. All of that would be happening. But for some reason, Israel or the Zionist establishment within Israel, okay, I'm not saying all Israelis are part of it. No, we don't believe that.
No.
We believe they're great Israelis, peaceful Israelis, peace-loving Israelis, humanitarian Israelis who do not agree with the policies of the government. It is people like Netanyahu, corrupt, godless politicians like Netanyahu, and his entourage around the world who are doing these crimes.
Okay,
so this is where the problem is.
Perfect. Let's deal with that.
Yeah.
And this is, and I will answer it really briefly. This is the absurdity of the conversation. As a Jew, it breaks my heart. Yeah, there is only one country in the world where millions of people routinely question its existence. Most states were born out of violence. There are very few.
Because they know.
No. Let me speak. There were very, very few states that weren't born out of violence. Yeah. Very few. Yeah, there's only one. There's only one that is routinely questioned whether it has a right to exist. Yeah?
Rightly so.
And you then make
By
an analogy.
by the citizens.
The analogy
By the
is that
citizens, right?
No, not by the citizens.
Who by?
Sorry.
You said the Jewish people, the Israelis question this themselves.
No, not the Jews. No, the Jews don't. We don't question it.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's the non-Jews.
Okay.
They question us having a state. It's like for us, like when we were in Europe, we were.
Do you think they have
persecuted.
grounds to question?
Absolutely not.
No grounds.
So can I just finish? Can I make my point? Can I make the point?
Unbelievable. Yeah, carry on.
We're the only state which is routinely questioned, and then these grotesque analogies are made where people will say, well, look at ISIS. Let's look at some hard facts.
Let's do it.
In 1 year, ISIS can slaughter 100,000 people. Yeah? In 100
I don't know
years.
who made this. You bring stats. I
So,
don't know where you get them from.
okay.
By the way,
Adnan, what's the death toll in Syria since the start of the war?
It's a lot, actually.
ISIS didn't
Like-
kill
But not all
them.
of them are biased.
no,
Not all of them are biased.
Assad, ISIS, Hezbollah,
As
everybody.
bad, as evil as ISIS is,
So they all
it's not.
get to kill
It's
all
not.
Israelis.
It hasn't done that. What you're saying?
so can I
Okay,
just-
most of the killings have been.
Okay, to kill us.
Syrian regime.
Can I make my point? In the height of the conflict, 400 to 500,000 people were slaughtered in the space of maybe 5 years. Yeah.
Over
Yeah.
over
And
10 years.
now, in the UK,
400 to
400 to 500,000.
ISIS.
No, in the Syrian
People were
conflict.
killed in the Syrian
conflict.
and,
Yes.
And can I make my point?
500,000.
Can I watched the protests in the UK, yeah? Street protests. There was barely a protest for these people, yeah? For the murdered for the Syrian civilians that were slaughtered in their tens and hundreds of thousands.
Last night I was fundraising.
I'm not saying you were fundraising.
Yeah,
I'm saying,
hold on.
okay, Adnan, let me make my point, and then
There
you
is
can
a
respond.
global outcry.
Let me make my point, and then you can respond.
Yeah.
So when Israel and Gaza, when the war broke out in 2014, yeah,
Yes.
up to 100,000 people marched against Israel. There has not been one protest where more than 2,000 people marched in favour of, well, not in favour, like in support of the
I'll
Syrians.
respond. Can I
And then-
respond?
Let me make my point, then you can respond, yeah? There is global outcry at Israel, yeah? And you're saying ISIS. If Muslims were doing this, there would be an outcry. In the last 100 years, less than 100,000 people have been killed on both sides. In the last year, the figure it's a 3-figure number and a low 3-figure number, depending whether you go by B'Tselem statistics or the United Nations statistics. Yeah, a low number. You're talking.
So what you are saying,
No,
there are only a few thousand.
no.
It's okay.
Sheikh, what I'm saying is very simple.
It's okay, kill.
It's the same reason that people horrifically question and abuse the existence of a Jewish state. It leads them to make these.
It's not a Jewish state.
It
It's
is
a Zionist state.
Zionist.
Zionist.
Okay, I mean,
Both
you
say
can say that,
Jewish.
but it defines itself
Because
as a
it's not
Jewish
Jewish
state.
state.
How
It's not
Islamic
Jewish.
is Islamic State?
How is it Jewish state?
Wait. How
is it
Islamic is Islamic State? ISIS.
And there is
They call it
Muslim
Islamic.
Islam
Do we
is a
accept that
religion.
claim?
Islam
Just
is a
because they have,
religion.
they have even
there are
now,
Arabs there
they have
living in
tarnished,
Israel.
they have even tarnished the Shahada
Adnan, we can
by using it.
No
So these
religion,
people,
yeah,
we believe they are the biggest enemies we have. These so-called Islamic states.
Yeah.
Because they are tarnishing our name. They are tarnishing our image.
My point.
Zionists-
That wasn't my point. My point is very simple.
Yeah.
The analogy, the comparison to Israel and all these. So the Iraq War, 1 million people killed. The Mexican drug war, 8,000 people killed a year. Afghanistan, 35,000 people, I believe, were killed last year.
And Israel only 23,000.
Check. Let me. No, very.
2,000.
2 to 300, depending on the statistics. In the last year. In the last 100 years. In the last 100 years, less than 100,000 people have been killed, which is a tragic number and a high number. But more people will die in
from
1
the-
year in
from the
Iraq.
Arabs.
It's still a massacre. Anyway,
It's not a massacre.
I'll
by-
tell you what.
No, actually,
Janine.
ISIS in Syria killed 1,366 civilians.
Okay.
Only 1,000.
Yeah.
Compared to Israelis,
who's worse?
less harmful than
So that
Israel.
was in how many years?
In 5-6 years of their career.
On both sides,
Okay.
Israel
And
and
Israel
Palestine, less than 100,000
since
in
48
Now, my problem
since
with this
48
analogy-
since 48 until now, they have only killed,
Only 100,000.
100,000.
Nonsense!
Sheeps.
Not 100,000.
No, he's not saying that.
The numbers,
I'm
are
sure he
wrong.
doesn't agree with that. I'm sure he's decent enough to not agree with that. No normal human being, unless you're a psychopath, no normal human being can agree with anything like that. The point here is,
You disagree
we're
with this,
trying-
by the way.
Anything with it, just
the killing of,
Sorry, I think there's a
Now,
point that needs to be made. Bottom line.
wait.
The Israeli army is the only army in the world. It's not called a military. put a defense force. The reason,
You name it a defense force.
again.
When you will occupy someone's territory, you will be a defense force.
It's not occupying either.
You will be a defense force. That's natural.
Defending what you've occupied.
Yes.
Sorry, but again, we just had a discussion about how it came into possession.
Yes, it was forced.
So it was forced on just as much as it was forced on the Jews. It was forced on the Arabs.
How?
We were given an area by British colonialists.
Okay.
You just said-
Okay. How?
Justify that.
How?
Wait a second.
Who gave
We
the
just-
British that right to give you that land?
nobody
And
gave
what?
you the
Who gave you the right to take
The
it?
British didn't give us the
Yeah.
land.
If something
He
belongs
says
to
they will
him,
give the land.
He's mistaken.
So you directify him.
okay, wait. Let's assume I took his
British
phone
didn't
by
give us
force.
the land. They have
No. This is how it works. This is how we like to give demonstrations. We like to give demonstrations. I took his phone by force. I give it to you.
1 second.
Is it okay for you to have it now?
1 second.
If it was
Is it
his
okay
phone
for
to
you to-
begin with,
No, it's never been in
No,
his
it's never.
it was his phone.
Can I give it to him?
Give him his phone back. Give him his phone back. That's his
How is it? How is it? How is it?
What I meant by the British gave it to us was the British gave the land to the United Nations in order to
Yeah.
do it.
No.
So it's inevitably.
That's the game they played. We don't accept that. Hold on.
don't accept
United
I know what you
Nations.
accept. I know that's the history.
I'll tell you, the United Nations,
not a
the
made-up
United
thing.
Nations, the United Nations. Do you think United Nations is independent? Where are the headquarters? Where are the headquarters? New York. New York, right? Do you think the United Nations is independent?
Extend that.
It is
Adnan.
not.
Extend that. What are you saying? Just
I am saying the United Nations is not independent.
Who's it
United
controlled by or
Nations.
biased towards?
It is controlled by the most powerful entities in the world.
And who are they?
We say in Punjabi, not that you understand Punjabi.
You'd be surprised. I'll translate. Right, you say it and I'll translate.
We say in Urdu rather. Urdu. Forget.
I'll translate the Urdu. Say it.
Jiski lathi uski. Whoever has the stick owns the cow.
Yes.
Whoever has the stick owns the cow. At the moment, currently, the cow is the United Nations, and whoever owns the stick owns the United
So
Nations.
I can tear that apart in 2
Security
minutes.
Council, amazingly, Security Council. Who are the members? America, Russia, China, Britain, and France. Okay, and how about one of the Muslim countries? No, it's an exclusive club. You with this shimagh or this hutra, this ikal, no, stay outside. Go and eat corn, eat falafel and eat corn, and have your hummus.
Isn't he British?
But don't come. No, he's
He's not British.
No, he's British.
British then, yeah,
He's in
Stop
Britain.
being a racist.
Look, no.
You're not. Okay.
Proud to be so
Imagine.
Proud to be joking.
So anything Security Council. For example, recently Pakistan. There was India wanted a Pakistani man declared a terrorist. India wanted a Pakistani man declared a terrorist because there was an allegation that this person was responsible for doing terrorist acts in India. So what happened? India brought a resolution to United Nations Security Council for him to be declared. Pakistan got in touch with China. Pakistan told China, veto. India and China vetoed. So that man could not be declared a terrorist. He may be a terrorist. He may not be a terrorist. That's a completely different question. But this is how the system works. Whether you are wrong or right, jiski lathi uski bhans. Whoever owns the stick owns the cow.
I am so grateful to Allah for having guided me to Islam. Sadly, I am the only Muslim in my family. It hurts me that my parents haven't accepted Islam yet, and I ask Allah to guide them. But it also gives me a special drive to work for the establishment of Islam. I don't want anyone to miss the chance of becoming Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ said that the Muslims are like one body. If you can feel my pain, would you please help me relieve it? You are now my new family. Click the link and donate to establish this masjid and share in the reward for the message of Islam reaching the corners of Norway.